The financial system is a complex and interconnected web. What happens in one part can ripple through the entire system. This interconnectedness was starkly highlighted during the 2023 US regional banks crisis. Banks, investment firms, insurance companies, and even individual investors felt the impact. Each entity is like a domino, and when one falls, it can set off a chain reaction. The crisis began in regional banks but quickly spread. It showed how fragile the financial system can be. Understanding this interconnectedness is key. It helps us see why a problem in one area can affect the whole system. We will explore the crisis in depth, focusing on its causes, effects, and the lessons learned. By the end, you should have a clear picture of how interconnected our financial system is. You will also understand the importance of confidence and diversification in maintaining financial stability. Let's dive into the background of the crisis. The 2023 US regional banks crisis didn't happen overnight. It was the result of a series of events and decisions. At the center were banks like SVB and First Republic Bank. These banks had grown significantly. They were heavily involved in tech startups and venture capital. SVB focused on funding tech startups. This made it a key player in Silicon Valley. However, this focus also made it vulnerable. The tech sector is inherently risky and volatile. First Republic Bank catered to high net worth individuals. It had a reputation for excellent customer service but carried significant risk. These banks were part of a larger financial ecosystem. They had relationships with investment banks, insurance companies, and pension funds. This interconnectedness meant problems in one bank could spread to others. The crisis began when these banks faced liquidity issues. They had invested heavily in long-term assets, which became problematic when interest rates rose. This created a mismatch between their assets and liabilities. Understanding the background of these banks helps us see why the crisis happened. The main trigger for the 2023 US regional banks crisis was rising interest rates. The Federal Reserve had been increasing rates to combat inflation. This created immediate problems for banks. Many regional banks had invested in long-term bonds. These assets lost value as interest rates went up. This created a mismatch between the bank's assets and liabilities. Banks like SVB and First Republic faced a liquidity crunch. When depositors realized the trouble, they started to withdraw their money. This is known as a bank run. The more people withdraw, the more likely the bank is to fail. The bank run at SVB was one of the most dramatic moments of the 2023 crisis. It started when depositors began to worry about the bank's solvency. They feared that SVB wouldn't be able to meet its obligations. This led to a rush to withdraw funds, creating a classic bank run scenario. SVB was particularly vulnerable to a bank run because of its customer base. Many of its depositors were tech startups and venture capital firms. These entities often need large amounts of cash on short notice. When they heard rumors about SVB's financial troubles, they didn't wait to find out if they were true. They withdrew their funds immediately, exacerbating the problem. The bank run had immediate and severe effects. SVB was forced to sell assets at a loss to meet withdrawal demands. This further weakened the bank's financial position. News of the bank run spread quickly, causing panic among depositors at other banks. This led to additional bank runs at institutions like First Republic Bank. The next section will discuss the broader impact of the crisis, focusing on the contagion effect. The 2023 US regional banks crisis didn't just affect the banks themselves, it had a ripple effect across the entire financial system. This is known as the contagion effect. When one part of the financial system is in trouble, it can quickly spread to other areas. Investment banks were among the first to feel the impact. They had close relationships with regional banks like SVB and First Republic. When these banks faced liquidity issues, it affected the investment bank's own liquidity. This created volatility in the financial markets, affecting stock prices and investor confidence. The contagion effect showed how interconnected the financial system is. The next section will look at how the government and the Federal Reserve responded to the crisis. The 2023 US regional banks crisis required swift and decisive action from the government and the Federal Reserve. Their primary goal was to restore confidence in the financial system and prevent further bank runs. They implemented a series of measures aimed at stabilizing the situation. One of the first actions was to provide emergency liquidity to the affected banks. The Federal Reserve opened its discount window, allowing banks to borrow money at favorable rates. This helped banks meet their short-term obligations and reduce the immediate pressure. The government also stepped in with regulatory measures. They increased the insurance coverage for deposits, ensuring that depositors' money was safe. This helped restore confidence among depositors, reducing the likelihood of further bank runs. Additionally, the government tightened regulations on asset liability management, forcing banks to be more cautious in their investment strategies. Another significant intervention was the creation of a bailout fund. This fund was designed to help banks that were on the brink of collapse. The interventions had a stabilizing effect on the financial system. The next section will discuss the lessons learned from the crisis, focusing on systemic risk and confidence. The 2023 U.S. regional banks crisis taught us several important lessons. One of the most significant is the importance of understanding systemic risk. Systemic risk refers to the potential for a problem in one part of the financial system to affect the entire system. The crisis showed how interconnected the financial system is and how quickly problems can spread. Another key lesson is the importance of maintaining confidence. Confidence is crucial in the financial sector. When people lose confidence in a bank, it can lead to a bank run. This was clearly demonstrated during the crisis. Maintaining confidence requires transparency and effective communication. Banks and regulators need to be clear about their actions and the state of the financial system. The crisis also highlighted the importance of diversification. Banks that had diversified portfolios were less affected by the crisis. Diversification helps spread risk and reduces the impact of any one problem. Finally, the crisis underscored the need for effective regulation. Regulations need to be in place to ensure that banks manage their assets and liabilities properly. The next section will focus on diversification as a risk management tool. Diversification is one of the most effective tools for managing risk. It involves spreading investments across different assets and sectors. This helps reduce the impact of any one problem on the overall portfolio. The 2023 U.S. regional banks crisis highlighted the importance of diversification. Banks that had diversified portfolios were less affected by the crisis. They had investments in different sectors and asset types. This helped them absorb the impact of the crisis better than those with concentrated portfolios. Diversification is not just important for banks, it's also crucial for individual investors. Individual investors can diversify their portfolios in several ways. They can invest in a mix of stocks, bonds, and other assets. They can also spread their investments across different sectors and geographic regions. Diversification also helps improve returns over the long term. The 2023 crisis showed that diversification is not just a good idea, it's a necessity. The next section will explore the role of technology in modern banking crises. Technology plays a significant role in modern banking crises. It can both help and hinder the situation. On one hand, technology can provide tools for better risk management and quicker responses. On the other hand, it can also exacerbate problems by spreading panic more quickly. Social media played a significant role in the 2023 crisis. News about the bank runs and financial troubles spread rapidly across platforms like Twitter and Facebook. This created a sense of urgency and panic among depositors and investors. The speed at which information spread made it difficult for banks and regulators to respond effectively. However, technology also provided tools for managing the crisis. Banks and regulators used digital platforms to communicate with the public. They provided real-time updates and reassurances, helping to restore confidence. Technology also enabled quicker transactions, allowing banks to meet withdrawal demands more efficiently. In conclusion, technology is a double-edged sword in banking crises. The next and final section will summarize the key lessons and look ahead to future financial stability. The 2023 U.S. regional banks crisis was a wake-up call for the financial system. It highlighted the interconnected nature of the system and the potential for problems to spread quickly. It also underscored the importance of maintaining confidence and practicing diversification. Understanding systemic risk is crucial for preventing future crises. Regulators and financial institutions need to be aware of the interconnectedness of the system. They need to take proactive measures to manage risk and maintain stability. This includes effective regulation, transparent communication, and prudent asset liability management. Maintaining confidence is another key lesson. Confidence is crucial for the stability of the financial system. Banks and regulators need to be transparent and communicate effectively. They need to provide reassurances to the public and take swift action to address problems. Diversification is a crucial strategy for managing risk. It helps spread risk and reduce the impact of any one problem. In conclusion, the 2023 crisis provides valuable lessons for the future. By understanding systemic risk, maintaining confidence and practicing diversification, we can build a more stable financial system.